statements. I call the member for Vaucluse.
Mr Assistant Speaker, this month I was delighted to attend the Woollahra Library Friends Committee meeting at Woollahra Council in my electorate of Vaucluse. The Woollahra Library Friends was established in 2000 to, above all, promote the library service and to provide its members with stimulating book-related events to enjoy with other book lovers. I've always taken a keen interest in the Woollahra Library and the work of the Woollahra Library Friends, and I was really thrilled that I had the opportunity to join them finally at one of their meetings. When I moved back to live in Australia after living in New York City during the 1990s, I joined the Woollahra Library along with my then young son, and we spent many delightful hours in the library reading and selecting books to borrow. As a child, indeed, my mother had also taken me on regular pilgrimages to the local library at that stage, which was the Woollahra Library, for the same purpose. And after those visits, I vividly recalled leafing excitedly through those books that I borrowed in the back of the car as we drove home from the library. Now, after my son and I joined the Woollahra Library back in 1999, I also joined a small group, and it was the forerunner of the Woollahra Library Friends. That group was formed to give the library input into its services to the local community. I newly arrived to live in Sydney after that absence. I made many friends through the group, and I also built a very early understanding of my local community. I had a sweet spot, one might say, for the Woollahra Library, which was a place that offered my son and myself so much in the early days of our settling back to live in Sydney. So how does the Woollahra Library Friends Committee, who I met with, support the Woollahra Library? Well, the role of the Woollahra Library Friends Committee is to advise the Council by providing a link between the community and the Council. And some of those important roles, including providing a community forum for discussion of all library-related issues, promoting the library's role as a social, cultural and educational institution, raising awareness of the library services and encouraging community involvement, assisting in developing and maintaining library services and facilities for the benefit of the community, assisting the library to attract donations and sponsorships for special projects, organising talks and readings or literary lunches to bring together people who love books, and fostering an interest in the literary heritage of Woollahra itself. The Woollahra Library Friends Committee meets around 5 times a year to get an update on the upcoming library events and to discuss any library strategic matters, for example, plans for the new library that are going to form part of the Kiora Lands development in Double Bay near my electoral office. The Woollahra Library Friends Committee also makes suggestions for improvement about library services and to offer suggestions, for example, on the Writers and Readers series, one of the more popular series the Woollahra Library Friends organises. The patron of the Friends is Mayor Councillor Andrew Petrie, and the Woollahra Council representative for the Library Friends is Councillor Peter Kavanagh, a regular attendee who was there at that meeting with me. The President of the Friends is Professor Ross Steele. Ross is ubiquitous, a person of great charm, intelligence and solid commitment to the arts, including the Woollahra Library Friends. Ross is a member of the Order of Australia, for which he was awarded for service to tertiary education, particularly the promotion of French language and culture in Australia, and to the community through support for a range of arts organisations. He's an officer in the Order National de la Légion d'Honneur, and amongst other things, a recipient of the University of Sydney Alumni Award for Community Achievement. The Treasurer of the Woollahra Library Friends is my dear colleague Darryl Hughes, a former Woollahra councillor. Darryl serves as the trustee treasurer for many, many local community groups, and he always does this with great warmth, generosity, professionalism and alacrity. And without Darryl and his wonderful wife Dixie, the community in my electorate of Vaucluse would be a much lesser one. I must also acknowledge that the Woollahra Library Friends is ably supported by several council staff and Vicky Munro, the manager of the library. And despite the many ways we can all access written material these days on our iPads, PCs, Macs and Kindles, the strong attraction that books and sharing literature still hold for young and old alike means that the events hosted by the Woollahra Library Friends are very popular indeed. The Poets' Picnic is just one example. It's an important community event that draws a large crowd. Accomplished poets read their work along with amateurs and local school students. The event is held early evening in Blackburn Gardens, adjacent to the Woollahra Council Chambers, and the Woollahra Library that's housed in a historic building called St Bridget's, built in 1897. The local picnic is wonderful, residents enjoying the beautiful green lawns while enjoying the poetry on offer. I very much enjoyed my opportunity to visit with the Woollahra Library friends at the meeting. I strongly commend them for their dedication, passion, enthusiasm for raising awareness of library services and events and encouraging community involvement in so many ways. I commend my private member statement to the House.